Hey everyone, welcome to the Banjo Earth podcast. Once again, we're graced and honored to have our good friend here, Mr. David Long. How's it going, David?
I'm doing good, Andy. How are you?
I'm doing excellent. We're here in Greensboro, North Carolina today. It's a cool day in early May, so it's like, what'd you say, it's a blackberry winter? What's going on here?
Yeah, I used to hear the mountain people call this blackberry winter in early May because the blackberry blossoms are coming out, and yet it's cold. It's pretty chilly today.
Yeah. Feels like the British Open to me, you know, like that weather. You go over to Scotland or England and try to play golf in the wind and the cold. So we love having David on. We talk about so many things. We play some great music, and David's a great historian, a musician, knows so much about North Carolina. It's always a pleasure to sit down with him and talk about these things. So I just want to jump in just super deep at the beginning. I like to just jump in the deep end and start swimming. What has been some of the most spiritual aspects of your musical experience, things that, you know, have taught you some of those deepest lessons in music?
Wow. Just in general?
Yeah.
Well, I think to, you know, just remember that music is something that should be uplifting and, you know, should be a positive force in your life and others. It doesn't mean that you can't have sad songs. I've got a lot of those, but they make me feel good.
Yeah.
I play primarily because my dad wanted to play guitar, but he was a World War II veteran, had a finger injury, and so he kind of encouraged both my brother and me to play. And I always try to remember that that's what he wanted. You know, he wanted music to be something that made us happy.
Yeah.
So I think that, and then, you know, like yesterday, I was driving through the North Carolina Piedmont on a beautiful, you know, gorgeous day, and rolled my windows down. Everything just smelled great, and I remember thinking, oh, I'm going to be, you know, playing music with some friends out in the woods.
Yeah.
And it just all makes me feel good.
Right. That's such a cool part of the musical experience, especially stringed instruments and that kind of thing, where you just have that group sensibility, that connection to other people that are making the music. And a lot of times it's in beautiful places like deep in the forest or around a fire, you know. So that's a very cool thing. Thanks for mentioning that. And I was thinking when you said about the sad songs, how music, like a sad song can make you feel really good, because I think what's happening a lot of times is you're moving emotion through your body and your mind, because you have all these emotions through life, happy, sad, all those things, and music is sort of a catalyst for that movement of energy to move through you and to help you feel better sometimes when you're feeling sad.
Yeah, and just feeling the vibrations of your instrument against your body is something that, to me, is spiritual.
Yeah.
And the more I play like in open tunings and things where it's real, you know, deep,
Right.
feel it just kind of
Yeah, that low D on a good guitar is an amazing sound.
It is.
Yeah.
Especially through a big old sound system.
I discovered that too on the banjo when I go down to D tuning, open D, and play like Rubin and stuff
Yes.
like that.
It has a different thing.
It does. It's like kind of a deeper vibration, and it feels good.
Kind of bluesy.
Yeah. Well, let's just jump into a song here and start making some music. How about a little bit of that Dooley?
Yeah. I'll mention that, of course, the Andy Griffith Show was based in North Carolina, and you know, for us North Carolinians, it's close to a religion. It really is.
Yeah.
And there was a band, the Dillards, that played a group on the show called the Darlings, and they were really good.
Yeah, great band. Now tell us a little bit about your experience with the Andy Griffith Show. I know you're a huge fan. Before we do this song,
I could talk for hours. I think I was 8 years old when it first came on network TV, back when we just had 3 channels.
Yeah.
And what I remember is that people being proud that there was somebody from North Carolina who had kind of made it. And I remember vividly being in church with my family This was about 1960 or 61. And I heard my mom talking with another woman, and they were talking about the Andy Griffith Show and how great it was. And then I remember one of the women saying, "Well, I'm real happy, but we know North Carolina's not really like that." And I was 8 years old, and I remember thinking, no, I think they nailed it pretty good. I mean, from everything I see, it's what I experience every day.
Yeah.
So, for a lot of us folks who, I guess, need a spiritual outlet, Andy is it.
Right. That's awesome. Well, let's jump into that tune, do a little of that dueling from the Darlings here.
All right.
Little moonshine music there.
Yeah, man.
So, moonshine, let's talk a little bit about that. Because North Carolina has such a part of that history and that story. I know about the NASCAR. Do you know, about the early origins of moonshine and where that comes from?
Well, I'm sure somebody might fact check this and I'm a little wrong, but...
Well, first of all, before we go into it, let's tell a little bit about what it is. It's a corn liquor that is made in the mountains by distilling and stuff, right? So it's a native kind of alcohol from this area.
Yes, and it was, history going back into Scotland and Ireland, and the way I basically understand it is, and Pennsylvania back in the day, but it was hard to transport an entire crop of corn to market without it, degrading.
Mm-hmm.
But you could distill it into moonshine and alcohol and get a lot more profit, and also it was more enduring. It didn't decompose.
Yeah.
And of course, there's always the issue then of taxation, and the government wants its cut and all that. And, there was an event that happened, I think it was right after the founding of this country, after we had a constitution and all that. And it was called the Whiskey Rebellion.
Yeah.
And it was farmers in backwoods of Pennsylvania who said, "You're not going to stop us from making liquor if we want to." And there was a big confrontation about that. But it took root in North Carolina, Virginia, Kentucky, West Virginia, because it was a means of having a little bit of money in your pocket. That's really what it came down to.
And so in North Carolina, that was also the people would make moonshine, and then they would soup up their cars and make them go faster and try to outrun the police.
Yes.
And this is how I understand the story
That's
of NASCAR.
Right.
And so they would make their cars go faster, and they kept building their cars and more advanced and faster, and then eventually they started just hanging out with each other and racing their cars.
That's true.
And that became what is now NASCAR and car racing in that sense.
Yes, and it's not an accident that NASCAR has its origins like in Wilkes County, North Carolina, which is also the #1 moonshining county. And
not a coincidence.
Not a coincidence.
As actually, I saw a story a couple years ago that deep down under the Wilkesboro racetrack, they discovered a really old moonshine operation down there.
That I heard something about that, and of course, they've revived the speedway, and I want to get up there sometime now that it's been resuscitated.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about your family history goes way back into North Carolina. So tell us a little bit about that history and how that family line ended up with you sitting right here on this Banjo Earth podcast.
Okay. Well, I've done a lot of research, and about every 10 years I get very interested in it, and spend some time. And during that intervening 10 years, there's been a lot of research done by other people that I'm able to tap into. But the basic story is that my ancestors came a lot from Germany on the border with France and Alsace-Lorraine. And the area where I grew up, which is Lincoln County, sort of near Charlotte, if you ask people there, do you have roots in Alsace-Lorraine, they would just look at you, with a blank stare. But it's because it's been so long ago.
Right.
They just think of themselves as Americans and don't really think about where they came from. But a lot of that, German Lutherans, who were, they were the kind of some of the original revolutionaries who, broke with the Roman Catholic Church. And Queen, I think it's Queen Anne of England, knew that she wanted to have Protestants in the colonies, sort of as a buffer between the English on the coast and the French in the interior, because that was Protestant Catholic. And so my ancestors were in that buffer zone, and oh my goodness, then quite a few who came from England, and a few from Scandinavia, but that's pretty small. And
tell us a little bit about the history as far as North Carolina's history and the Revolutionary War and stuff like that.
Well, in the area where I grew up, from a pretty early age, we were taught and by older people that the American Revolution was really sort of won in our backyard. And there was the Battle of Kings Mountain, which was really pivotal. And gosh, I could talk for hours just about that. But the basic lesson of that is don't threaten mountain people.
Right.
You can debate and you can negotiate and argue and discuss, but once you threaten, you've crossed a line. and the British, looking back, probably would have done well not to have threatened mountain people.
Yeah.
And I'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
And the 250th anniversary of that's going to be coming up in 2030. Definitely want to be there. And sort of one of the really interesting parts of that is that these were just ordinary people. They were not part of an army. They didn't really even want to be involved in the war, but they were threatened, and they were told that if they didn't lay down their arms and swear an oath of allegiance to the king, King George of England, that the British were going to come across the mountains, burn out their crops, leave them to starve for the winter, and hang their leaders.
Mm-hmm.
And so they sort of put their heads together. Again, these are just ordinary people, not military.
It's a pretty serious threat, though.
Yeah, they crossed the line.
Yeah.
They crossed the line with Scots-Irish, Scots-Irish people who had been at odds with the British for 1,000 years.
Yeah.
You know. But they just wanted to be left out of it. But when they got this edict, they got together, sort of convened a, council, and they said, well, what should we do? And they said, well, if we take them at face value, they're going to come here and they're going to, wipe us out.
Uh-huh.
And they knew they weren't going to sign the oath of allegiance after having been threatened. That was not an option. And so they said, well, what's the best option we have? And they said, well, let's go get them first.
Yeah.
So they came across the mountains and hunted down the British and the Loyalists, and dealt them a really severe blow.
Yeah. Sometimes the best defense is a great offense.
That's the truth, man.
And so did some of your family go back to that region in that time?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I had several ancestors in that battle, as well as one that I know of who was at Yorktown when the surrender went down.
Mm-hmm.
He was somewhere had written in a Bible that he was under the command of Lafayette.
Yeah.
At Yorktown when the surrender took place.
Nice.
And then these people were rewarded with the land in western North Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
So this fellow who was named Payne, P-A-Y-N-E, was one of the first settlers of Buncombe County, Asheville. And I found his grave up there.
Okay.
I could talk for hours about that.
Well, let's do one of those songs, because a lot of songs came over from Scotland and Ireland and England and other places in Europe, and became part of Appalachian culture, Appalachian music. So tell us a little bit about that and about the song that we're going to do.
The Sheffield Apprentice?
Yeah.
Back in the British Isles in, I think it was like 1500s, 1600s, after the printing press had been invented, the way that people kind of kept up with current events, or something, let's say like something like like in present day, something like 9/11.
Yeah.
Most people were not able to read, but there was printed out what was called a broadside ballad, which was just like a big sheet of paper, and it had all these lyrics on it, and it told a story. And someone who was in the community and was literate would learn the song and then teach it to others. Mm-hmm. And this is the way they sort of, entertained themselves. They no TV, no movies, no TikTok. And so they would, sit on their porches in the evening and sing these songs. And for the most part, that whole thing, that tradition had just died out in England and in the British Isles, but families who had moved here back like in the 1700s and become very isolated had been singing these songs for 200-300 years.
Yeah.
Up in Madison County, North Carolina, is one of the richest veins of this. There's a movie called Songcatcher that came out around 2000, and if anybody's interested in it, I think Adrian Brody was in it. But yeah, you can learn a lot about this. There was a faculty member at Oxford University in England who around 1900 set out to try to find these ballads in the entire English-speaking world, in the British Isles, in Australia, in Canada, in the United States, New Zealand, all over the world, and found that, the richest vein was in Madison County.
Yeah.
And I had a chance to go up there in the early 90s and hang out with a lady named Dellie Norton. She was one of the people who kept this tradition alive. And you can go online and look up Dellie, Dellie Norton. Her voice was very different. It was kind of unusual. To some people, it might not sound pleasant, but it's ancient. It's just ancient.
Yeah.
And so these songs told a story of something that happened. I can't tell you exactly what this is about, but it's about a young man who left his home and a loving family, and he set out to find his fortune and went to London, and things kind of turned bad.
Yeah. That sometimes happens in London.
Yeah. All right, this is called the Sheffield Apprentice.
All right.
Very fond of me. Her gold and her silver,
Very cool.
It's a lot of words.
Yeah, that's good for your memory.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's one thing I've loved about like learning songs, and I've written lots of songs, and is I've always chosen to do my best to play without an iPad or lyrics to songs as a crutch, because I've learned that if you use that,
Yep.
then you don't develop that part of your brain that is always memorizing stuff.
That is really true. That is really true. I mean, if you're reading it off, the story doesn't register in your head.
Yeah.
And the only way I can possibly remember all those lyrics is to kind of close my eyes and see it as a story that's unfolding, step by step.
Yeah.
So, yeah, all you aspiring guitar players and singers out there, go out in the woods, take your guitar, and absorb it all.
Right. Yeah, because it kind of burns. I'm a hypnotist, a hypnotherapist by trade also, and I've learned how patterns are sort of become channels in your mind, like a canyon where a river runs through for a long time. And if you do the same thing over and over, it becomes a more permanent part of your brain. It actually creates brain matter, a neural pathway. And I've learned that when I learn new songs, that the way that I get it is just to do that song. Whenever I sit down, I'm at the house, I just sit down, pick up the guitar or something. I'm playing that song for a week, at least, just like getting it in my head, and it becomes a part of who I am then.
To the point where it's like muscle memory in your brain, where it's just there.
Yeah.
And you put it out.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of times, like after singing Sheffield Apprentice, I think, wow, I can't believe I actually remembered all that.
Right, yeah. It's like part of your subconscious is sort of like doing, and I know a lot of times I'll go, I have a new song, and I want to do it live, and I know I'll probably miss a lyric or two, but that to me is less important than just having that song in my repertoire going forward, so I'll sacrifice a perfect performance, you know, to at least give that song a try with the people.
Yeah, and you've hit on something there too about like imperfection. I think one thing I would mention to any aspiring musician is to not get too hung up on perfection.
Mm-hmm.
It can really be debilitating. Instead, just accept that imperfection is part of it. And actually, my favorite recordings are like of these old blues guys in Mississippi who they didn't have a tuner. They didn't have a tuner. They some way managed to get their guitar in tune, almost.
Yeah.
Maybe slightly out of tune, but that just made it sound better.
Yeah, they maybe like tuned it to their car engine or something.
Who knows, to the cosmos or whatever. But I like the fact that like Blind Willie Johnson is one of my favorite guitar players, and his guitar is always just a little bit out of tune, but that kind of made it better. Yeah,
it gives it that quality. That's one thing I've discovered, writing songs and recording and putting it out now for many years is, you never know what people are going to respond to. And so I've found the best method, if you're just going to make music, is to be as creative and prolific as you can and just put everything out into the world and just let the world decide what it likes and what it doesn't, because there's things that you think are not ready or not good, but those might be the ones that the world responds to and will take you to a different place.
That is pretty amazing, and I would say from my own life that I have twin daughters, and Sarah and Elizabeth. And Elizabeth is very disabled. She has cerebral palsy, and when they were very young, both Ann and I, our entire lives were focused on just trying to get through that period, and very sleep deprived. Went for 6 weeks straight with 1 hour of sleep a night.
Wow.
You learn a lot about yourself.
Yeah.
You learn about a lot about what your limitations are, and oh man,
that's amazing.
I think about that and just think, oh my. But when I would have a chance to play some, I would go down in my basement and try to seal it up so I didn't wake the girls up if they were napping or sleeping. And I would just play what I wanted to play for myself, just to remind myself that I was a a human being and I was alive.
Mm-hmm.
And ended up playing a lot of stuff like Mississippi Fred McDowell in the open tunings, and I really never had any thought that I would actually play in front of people ever again in my life. And I really hadn't played in front of people very much up until that point. And I was about, I was about 32 or 3.
Mm-hmm.
But what I realized is that once I did have a chance to kind of emerge from that repertoire, which was very different, people loved.
Mm-hmm.
It was different. I mean, there's a song called Red Cross Store by Fred McDowell. It's in a very odd open tuning, and it'll get your attention. You know?
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah, you develop your own styles and stuff when in those times where you're kind of just off in your own world and surviving, and like the music is what had a lot to do with you just getting through that period.
Absolutely.
And you're when you play that for people, you're sharing the energies of those moments, you know.
Yes.
Yeah.
As intense as they were.
Yeah. So recently, yesterday I put out a video about the Brown Mountain Lights, and it's one of my favorite North Carolina sort of paranormal experiences because I've found out about them. I knew about the old song. I used to love that old song, and I started going to check them out. And I've been 4 or 5 times now, and each time I've seen them. And I've watched a lot of other videos and documentaries about it. And some people go for years and never see them, which is kind of fascinating to me about that. But we went recently and for the Banjo Earth, North Carolina project and saw some amazing footage. You've seen the footage.
Yeah.
And, eventually, like, green and blue lasers were shooting at us from the mountainside. And these are huge on the side of a rock cropping. So it's very, like, unexplainable. And it's one of my, favorite North Carolina stories. Because there's so many stories that go along with that are ghost stories and, tragic happenings on the Linville Gorge and things like that. Mm-hmm. So I know you know a lot because you've been traveling around North Carolina many years. You've been to all the gravestones, and you know all the old songs. What are some of your paranormal experiences that really stand out in your mind?
Oh my gosh! I'm sending this out if you're listening to Amanda Dunn Moore and Jill Martin and Kent Dunn and others who, oh my gosh, had an experience up in the Lawson family graveyard.
Yeah.
And I have to be kind of careful because in our area here, there are a lot of people who are related to the Lawsons. And one of my very favorite friends over in Winston, Kim Lawson. Kim, if you're listening, no disrespect intended, but that's a creepy place, that Lawson family graveyard. And the basic story on that, and I didn't know about it until I heard Doc Watson sing the song, The Lawson Family Tragedy.
Yeah.
But the basic story there is that there was a farmer near Stokesdale, North Carolina, and he was pretty, prosperous by, country standards. It was certainly not wealthy, but, he was sort of a pillar of the community, and he sort of went crazy on Christmas Eve or Christmas Day, I can't remember, 1929, and murdered his entire family. I think there were 7 or 8 children, and his wife and baby. It was real tragic. I mean, I don't mean in any way to make light of it because it was a tragic thing.
Yeah.
But Jill and Amanda, you remember the day we went to have the band photo made in the Lawson family cemetery, and I don't even know where to start, but it was, oh man, I'm just going to let that lie and just say that by the time the sun went down, we were ready to get out of there.
Yeah, the vibes were heavy.
It was scary.
I've been there with you before.
Yes.
We've been there together and played. I wrote a song recently before we went there, and then that ended up being Lawson's Lament, that song.
Oh, I played that.
Yeah, you played it with me. Well, I don't remember how to play it. I haven't played it since then. I think I was just left that song there as a token of
to offer something to the
an offering of peace to the place.
It is a part of North Carolina lore, and this was just as mass communications were starting to happen, and the news of this got on the radio, and I think I heard that at the funeral there were 10,000 people who come from all over the country. I've seen a photo of just all these old Model Ts or Model A's on the hillside, and it was quite happening. That was a memorable day. I'll put it that way.
Well, so Doc Watson, we both are huge fans of Doc Watson. You've learned a lot of music from him. I have too. You actually got to meet Doc, and you also went to his funeral, right?
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about your experiences with Doc, because he's. I love showing people and that have never experienced Doc, like my wife Claudia. Like, we hear Doc come on the radio, I'm like, this is Doc Watson, and you can tell he just has that that characteristic or that quality of his tone and energy and just vibe that is something very, very special.
Doc was just an amazing person. For those who might not know about him, he was blind. He grew up in a very poor part of North Carolina up in the Appalachians, and he said that he thought that probably his fate in life, now he was a very intelligent man, very intelligent, that was just going to be that he was just going to be a ward of the state, like a welfare sort of case. But he realized the more he played guitar and the better he got at it, that he had a chance to actually support his family. And he said, you better believe I worked hard at it. And you'd hear people say sometimes, that Doc just had this, God-given ability. And I think the way Doc expressed this, and he was a very religious man. He said, well, I do, believe in the Lord and so forth, and, I thank him for being good to me. He said, but I want to tell you something. He said, I had to work hard to get to this level on guitar. It wasn't something that just, happened. But it
feels like I think I don't know if this is real or not, but he said, like, the harder I work, the more the Lord bless me, or something along those lines.
Yes, I think that's what I heard. And when he was able to support his family, and literally he went from being on the street corners in Boone with a tin cup, just playing for nickels and dimes, to within a short period, and this was during the folk revival of the early 1960s, he was on the stage in Carnegie Hall in maybe less than a year.
Wow.
And his son Merle, who revered his dad, wanted to go with him, and but Merle was just kind of starting on guitar. He'd played banjo some, but he saw that if he could play backup guitar for his dad and get good at it, that they could travel as a team, and then he could help him, navigate the subways and things like that.
Wow.
And it said that Merle went back home, and within just a few months was just knocking all that material out.
Nice.
He had learned it because he wanted so much to help his dad.
He wanted to be with his father and travel and make music and help him along the way.
Yes, and I'll say this too, and this is a story about Doc that he's such a spiritual mentor to me that he said that when he was a little boy, all of his brothers and sisters, helped out on the farm with things, but because he was blind, he couldn't really do very much. And he said that one day his dad sat down with him with a log, cross-cut saw. You're familiar with what that is, where there's one person on one end and one person on the other end. And he said, Arthel, his real name was Arthel.
Right.
He said, get on the other end of this and help me. And Doc, oh gosh, almost cried. Doc said, everything that I've achieved in my life sprang from that moment of knowing that I was worthwhile and I had value.
Nice.
Because my dad asked me to help him with the crosscut saw.
Wow. Amazing. because he couldn't see, but he could feel
Yes.
the saw going back and forth. And he's like,
Yes.
"You can do that."
Yes.
Yeah, that's
Isn't that
beautiful. Well, one of the songs that we both have learned from Doc was "Oh Me Wise," and you were, in the Banjo Earth documentary. We went to Oh Me Wise's grave and like the deep river and the spot where all that happened. And is that you want to do that song,
Yeah, I'll try it without the capo.
or do you
first.
know another one, Doc Watson song you want to do?
We can do that. We can do "Oh Me Wise."
All right.
I'll tell a little bit about this because it does build on that whole ballad tradition.
Yeah.
It's the first ballad that really emanated from North Carolina. It was not brought over from the British Isles.
Yeah.
And
It kind of used the style of the broadside ballad that you were talking about, but it
Yes.
had the contents of real happenings in North Carolina.
yes,
Mhm.
yeah. And that's why it's significant. And so much of Doc's music, and he really didn't write much music, but he was a great interpreter, and so much music I would not have known about, like the Delmore Brothers and Doc Boggs, another great musician, and Jimmy Rogers even. I mean, so many more. But Doc's family, they were the real deal. Now they sat around and sang these ballads to each other.
Yeah.
And his family was very musical, and so I heard this song "Omie," O-M-I-E Wise, on one of his albums. I think it's called "Ballads from Deep Gap." And it tells the story of a young woman who was sort of a lower socioeconomic status, who she became pregnant by a man who in the community was some higher social status, and she unfortunately met her end. And but I would not have known about this had it not been for Doc.
Yeah, I don't think I would have either. He really, his version kind of took off and let people know about the story and the song.
And little did we know it's just down the road from
Yeah,
us.
it's right around the corner.
Like, 25 minutes down the road.
Yeah.
All right, so this is called "Omie Wise." Her real name was Naomi, but do you want to do it with capo maybe?
Whatever you want to do, fine.
We'll try it this way. I'll see if my voice will handle it.
All right.
Come listen to my story, and I'll tell you no lies. How John Lewis did murder poor little Omie Wise. He told her to meet him at Adams's spring. He promised her money and other fine things. So full like she met him at Adams's spring. No money he brought her or other fine things. Go with me, little Omie, and away we will go. We'll go and get married, and no one will know. And she climbed up on his pony, and away they did go. But all to Deep River, where the deep waters flow. John Lewis, will you tell me your mind? Do you intend to marry me or leave me behind? Little Omie, I'll tell you how John Lewis did murder poor little homie Wise.
All right, little Omi Wise. Well, that's such a special song, man. I love to do that with you, and what a great story and tragedy also. And but it's so, like, I love how you are able to. These songs are real happenings, and you know, when I heard this from Doc Watson on his albums, it was just like a story in your imagination of like you hear the songs and these things happen in your head, but then you actually go to the gravesite, go to the place where all these things happen. It makes it real, adds a whole nother dimension to the music.
It definitely does, and Andy and Claudia and I went down to Randolph County to the Randleman area. Ironically, the same place that Richard Petty, the stock car driver, is from. Mm-hmm. The king of NASCAR.
The king, yeah.
It's where this whole incident happened, and there was a fellow there named Hal Pugh, P-U-G-H, who had done amazing research. And Andy, I remember so well when I got out of college. I was living in Wilmington, and I was just kind of a recluse. I didn't really get out much socially, but I just listened to those Doc Watson records over and over. Mm-hmm. And I thought that this whole story was just kind of mythical, kind of legendary, and I really didn't think about it like really being a place. And then when Hal took us to Adams Springs, which is referenced in the song, and took us to the place where they brought her body out and laid it on the bank, and was it cruentation?
Naomi's cooling board was the rock they called in the plank in the song.
Yes.
Naomi's cooling board was the rock, and the cruentation ritual where they bring the perpetrator to come touch the body of the deceased and see what kind of like blood or bubbles come to the surface. That's an ancient ritual to kind of test someone's guiltiness of the murder.
And we could see it right there. I mean, it was just, the rock was just right there, and it was really good. That was a cool day. That was really a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's an amazing experience. We've had all kinds of cool experiences going around North Carolina. So, you've been playing music quite a while, in all kinds of different things, situations and events, and what kind of, if someone's wanting to get into music, even if they're like here in North Carolina or anywhere around the world, first of all, what advice would you give them to understand Appalachian music and sort of this folk music and the tradition of this area and that musical thing? And then two, what are just some general advice to help a musician that wants to be better at music and become more professional? So let's just start with the Appalachian part first.
Okay, well, I think the main thing is that it's collaborative. In my opinion, that's what makes it sort of unique, is that if you know some of the basic songs in the repertoire, you can jump into a situation where with people you don't know and play and hang out and then become friends, and then you're going to their house to hang out and meet their friends, and there are a lot of interlocking circles, I think, in this area. And music has been an important part of the culture. Kind of goes back to the Quaker roots of this area. But anyway, music was important, and I think just being a good person, I think it has a lot to do with it. Mm-hmm. My friend Riley Bogus said, as a general rule, despite our reputation, musicians are pretty good people.
Yeah.
I thought, well, I guess so. We have our faults, but but I think that's the thing about Appalachian music, and to realize that it does have very, very, very deep roots. And you can listen maybe to was it called Bluegrass Underground on XM radio, and they have a lot of good stuff. But most of it is kind of uptown. I think, in a general rule. And I love that stuff. I love it too, but there's ancient roots.
One thing I found that's very helpful too is to follow the lineage of the song and the creators of the songs. Like you'll find maybe a modern bluegrass band or someone singing a song, and you're like, okay, where did that come? Oh, they heard it from this person. Okay, where did that come from? And they heard it from this person. It goes back and all the way back until you find the source, either the songwriter or like the earliest recording of that song. And to me, that's a wonderful journey to go on, because you discover so many things just from that one song.
Yeah, the song has a story too. And I think another thing that maybe is overlooked a lot is that bluegrass and our traditional music was very much a collaboration between European culture and African culture. The fiddle being a European instrument, and the banjo being an African instrument. And they, kind of came together in this area, and other places too, but especially in our area here, in a powerful kind of way. I'll have to share this little story that my friend Nick McMillan, who he's in the bloodline with the royalty of old time music.
Yeah.
Tommy Jarrell, and like Nick's dad was Tommy Jarrell's guitar player, and
nice.
Went back generations. And as I got to know Nick better, we became good friends, and I felt like I could ask him some questions. And I said, Nick, his sense of humor just kills me, and he knows it too.
Yeah.
I said, Nick, I've heard that the reason the music here was so powerful was it was like sort of the confluence of the European music and the African music, and it came together, melodically and rhythmically and all that. And Nick was kind of listening to all this and kind of shaking his head, in agreement, and I said, what do you think made it so good? He said, I think it's because we make good liquor. So he was able to condense it down a lot fewer words than I had.
Yeah, the spirit of the movement.
Yes.
So what would you say for someone who is just learning music and how to become a more proficient musician and a more professional, along the way?
Well, thank you for asking that question, because at this point in my life, I'm really not very motivated to do anything too proactive. But as I've shared with you, I think I might want to do a podcast aimed at people who, just like us, when we started playing, you doubt yourself, you feel insecure, you feel like you're not good enough, or that even you are good enough, but you just don't have anything unique to offer. I know I certainly have gone through periods like that. And I was hanging out with some other very accomplished musicians last night, and I kind of brought up this subject. They said, yeah, we're all very insecure, just by nature.
Yeah.
But my advice would be just to do it, just to learn a few songs, play them in front of your friends. If you don't get a response, don't let that stop you. Be true to yourself. Know what it is that you like, and especially in this day and age, not that we have to cultivate an audience. That there's no requirement that you do that. But I like to think that with the internet being what it is, that there's always going to be some kid, in Bulgaria or somewhere, who stumbles across it. This is the best thing I've ever heard.
Yeah.
I think about my friend Ken Inoue, Inoue. He's from Osaka, Japan. And Ken came and lived in this area for quite a few years. And he was just obsessed with American traditional music.
Nice.
And he knew more than most anybody about it.
Yeah.
And I think, wow, the fact that he's halfway around the world, all the way around the world, and so tuned in to our music. There's a singer named Roscoe Holcomb from Kentucky, where Andy's from Kentucky. And Eric Clapton said that Roscoe Holcomb was his favorite singer.
Nice.
And he has a different voice, but it's very much, from the heart. And Ken was just obsessed with Roscoe Holcomb.
Roscoe Holcomb.
I don't think I've ever told you this, but he said that he opened a bar in Osaka, and it was called Rossi's, Roscis,
Yeah.
after Roscoe
Yeah.
Holcomb.
That's awesome.
Ken sort of spoke broken English, and he looked at me and said, "Great idea, no customers."
Yeah. Yeah.
So the point, just do it, and put it out there, and believe in what you're doing. And for the guitar players out there, especially, I would say this is important. And I spent so much time. I'm never going to be an Eric Clapton, Jimi Hendrix, Jimmy Page, sort of guitar player. And I'm not. I'm just not a good lead guitar player. But for those of you out there, I say, learn to play strong rhythm. Learn to play some songs that are just 3 chords, but not the 3 chords that you normally think of.
Mm-hmm.
And sing with conviction. And you'll have a lot of friends.
Yeah.
You'll have a lot of girlfriends too, which is a really good thing.
Yeah.
For all of you out there sitting around just behind your computer.
Right.
Learn to play guitar.
Yeah. Learn to play guitar, get a girlfriend. And create, that's one thing I think is just expressing your creativity. And one thing that I've found is important is putting your creativity into a box or a vessel that helps you continue on, to wake up excited about adding to this, building this thing, whether it's a garden, whether it's a blog, whether it's a music project or a video project like Banjo Earth or anything. Create a vessel around your thing, and that gets you excited to keep going, and it will attract the tribe.
Yes.
That find the internet is amazing for that. It's like these little nodes of attraction for a certain idea or a certain topic. Like people in Japan loving American folk music is super incredible, and so just keep creating every day.
Absolutely, and like you said, wake up excited about it. Of course, there are a lot of mornings I wake up and I just want a cup of coffee and watch Stephen A. Smith review the NFL games.
Yeah.
But most days I wake up with a song idea in mind, and I should probably say too that. My taste, span a very broad spectrum, and I'm not hesitant about putting a song out there in front of people that is, how can I say it, maybe not respected, not respected within maybe the folk music world or whatever.
Yeah.
But I like it.
Yeah.
I like it. Right now,
that's what matters the most, If you like it, probably other people will like it as well.
And if you play with conviction, there is a singer, an English singer, Petula Clark. She's best known for the song "Downtown." When life is treating you lonely, you can always go. You know that?
No.
Okay. It was real popular in the '60s, and. But at that time, she was already a little bit older than most of the British invasion bands. And I've read a lot about her recently. She had played in front of the British troops in World War II.
Nice.
And she's 93 and still performing.
That's amazing.
Still performing.
Great.
And I pulled up a video of her doing a song called "Color My World" on the Ed Sullivan Show. Mm-hmm. And it's been so inspirational to me. I've watched that video probably 50 times, and every time I watch it, the feeling I get is that she loves music, she knows how to command a stage, and there's one little point in the song where she gives just like this little sneer, it's like, I'm a badass. I'm Petula Clark.
I'm a badass, yeah. That's awesome. Yeah, I think that reminds me of just the idea of if you're having fun making music, people are going to have fun listening to you. And that energy comes through the music. So just enjoy what you're doing, put it out there for people to enjoy, and, let the haters and the naysayers, let water go over your shoulder and just keep going.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is really true.
Because you're going to get that no matter what you do. You're going to get that that element. Because if you're creating a lot of things, you're going to get people like, "Oh, this sucks." If you don't create anything, then you yourself are going to be like, "This sucks."
Right.
So the only way to to do it is just to keep going and just let all of those comments just fade away.
You got to be strong mentally to play music, because you are going to get beat up.
Yeah.
And a lot of times you're going to get beat up because you're good.
Right. Yeah. Well, let's go out with one more song. How about a little Cumberland Gap, just a little jam at the end?
In D.
We can do it in D.
Yeah, what key do you like?
G.
Yeah.
You can do it in G.
Yeah.
All right. A little like Scruggs style, but kind of laid back tempo. Here we go. Thanks a lot for joining us. Thanks for coming, David.
Thank you, Andy.
It's always a pleasure.
May I make a special request?
Yes, absolutely.
I may have mentioned this to you before, but if I haven't, when my time comes to exit the earth, I don't know when that'll be, will you please play Sally Ann at my funeral?
Sure, absolutely. As long as I'm still here.
That if I know that you're waiting in the wings to do that, my life will be complete.
I'll be there and I'll do it. All right. Love you.
I love you too.
Thanks for joining us, and it's we'll link David's stuff if he has anything he wants to share in the description, and check out Banjo Earth, North Carolina. What comes out? David's doing the Omi Y segment on there and sharing some amazing things about North Carolina. So we've enjoyed having you on the podcast.
Thank you very much. And I want to say that Andy and Claudia, you're not seeing Claudia, but she's behind the camera. She is a beautiful soul and a person who I am proud to have in my life.
All right.
Both of you.
Come say hi, Claudia. Come say hi to the podcast.
Hello.
All right. We'll see y'all next time. Adios.